Gil Cisneros absolutely torched Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, telling him point blank that the only reason he even has that job is because he's good at sucking up to his boss. Not because he has the qualifications, not because he has the judgment, but because he plays loyal puppy for Donald Trump. And what made this moment even better is that Pete Hegseth had nothing to say back. This is the kind of exchange that proves something bigger. History doesn't have to repeat itself when people finally stand up to the bullshit.
I recognize the gentleman from California, Mr. Cisneros.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Secretary, so many topics to cover. I represent California's 31st District, located in Southern California, where you've deployed the National Guard and Marine Combat Battalion in an effort by this administration to provoke a confrontation. God only knows for what reason. As my colleague from Tennessee mentioned, the military has been activated before by the president, but let's tell the whole story. President Johnson federalized the troops after the governor of Alabama activated them to keep black students out of the University of Alabama. President Johnson did it so the students could attend the university. He did it for the right reason. He corrected a wrong. California did not ask the president for help, and the presence of the military is an effort by this administration to intimidate and incite fear and violence amongst its citizens. You failed at ensuring basic operational security by sharing classified data over an unclassified network. This was blatant, lazy, and put service members' lives at risk. And knowing that your office is a SCIF, I hope you are not bringing in your devices, your personal cell phone, or even your work phone, because that's not supposed to be in there either, right, your cell phone, into your office to send these signal chat texts. Your blatant lack of basic OPSEC would have gotten you resigned, forced you to resign from any other administration. You're requiring 8% cuts across all services, not to save the taxpayers' money, but to fund President Trump's pet projects. You talk about quality of life for service members, but yet you take $1 billion away from the Army that was meant to improve their barracks and their living. You said that money waste, but we don't know that yet because we haven't seen a budget. If the president has projects he wants funding for, you need to come before this body and provide reasoning, not just shift money around. Right now, you are stealing from our service members, robbing Peter to pay Paul. Now you have repeatedly said that you will judge every individual on their merit. Is that true?
Unlike the previous administration,
You will
yes,
judge
we are focusing
simple yes
on,
or no.
for our service
Judge everybody
members, how
on their
good they
merit.
are at their job, yes.
But yet you are separating thousands of service members who are performing and doing their job at a high level. They are being separated not based on merit. You know, some of them have been recommended for early promotion and have gotten awards and are doing a great job, but you are separating for no other reason, and frankly, I think you just don't like them. And you are classifying many of them as a national security threat, which is simply not true. You asked the Secretary of the Navy to change the name of the ship, because Harvey Milk didn't meet your definition of warrior ethos. If a Korean War veteran and a Navy diver who gave his life for standing up for his beliefs doesn't meet your definition, I don't know what will. You keep talking about recruiting, but let's face the facts here, right? Recruiting started improving before President Trump even came into office, and the reason that changed was because of the investment that was put into recruiting. Now, I was at the Pentagon at the time, and I know how much we invested in it, and I know how much of the services. And when you take away that investment, you're going to get exactly what happened in President Trump's first administration. In 2019, we had the same recruiting crisis that, back in 2019 when he was president the first time. You continue to attack diversity, but I have always said diversity is about creating opportunity. And I have seen plenty of individuals, many of them enlisted members, who when given the opportunity have succeeded, not because of their sex, not because of color, not because of their sexual identity, but because of their worth ethic and merit. Mr. Secretary, when using your definition of DEI, I think there's only one individual at the Pentagon right now who got his job based on that merit, and that is you, and you got it because of sucking up to your boss. And with that, I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Chair.
What you just saw wasn't a heated exchange. It was a comprehensive demolition of the Trump administration's defense narrative, piece by piece, allegation by allegation, failure by failure, laid out by someone who actually understands what military readiness, operational security, and personnel policy look like in the real world. Cisneros didn't just challenge the secretary. He exposed the structural contradictions at the heart of this administration's approach to national defense. Because while the secretary keeps repeating vague phrases about warrior ethos and readiness, the facts that Cisneros laid out tell a completely different story. A Pentagon diverting money away from service members' living conditions, a leadership team cutting funding from barracks and training to bankroll the president's political vanity projects, and an administration that treats the U.S. military less like a strategic institution and more like a personal stage prop. And the most damning part wasn't even the financial mismanagement, it was the operational failure. When Cisneros pressed him on his basic violation of OPSEC, sharing classified information over an unsecure channel, the secretary had no defense because there is no defense. Anyone else would have been relieved of duty instantly. Anyone else would have been investigated. Anyone else would have faced career-ending consequences. But under this administration, breaking protocol isn't a scandal. It's practically a job requirement. Cisneros wasn't exaggerating when he said lives were put at risk. Operational security isn't optional, it's the minimum standard. When a military leader can't meet that standard, they don't get to lecture service members about discipline. What's unfolding here is a picture of an administration that demands absolute loyalty while delivering none in return. They insist they are strengthening the military while slashing the very programs that keep troops housed, trained, and supported. They claim to value merit while separating thousands of high-performing service members for ideological reasons that have nothing to do with readiness. They attack diversity initiatives as though they are threats, when in reality, those programs are about opportunity, about making sure every capable American who wants to serve has the chance to do so. And Cisneros's point is unmistakable. The only merit this secretary seems interested in is political obedience. The hypocrisy becomes even clearer when you look at recruitment. Trump officials love to pretend the military collapsed the moment they left office, but the data, which Cisneros lived through firsthand, shows the opposite. Recruitment improved because of sustained investment. Investment the Trump administration later pulled back. And like clockwork, the recruitment crisis they now blame on everyone else emerged under their own leadership years earlier. The power of Cisneros's questioning is that he refuses to let the secretary hide behind slogans. He forces him to confront the consequences of his decisions. Troops living in deteriorating barracks, programs gutted to serve political optics, decorated veterans dismissed as insufficiently warrior because they don't fit the administration's culture war narrative, and service members labeled security threats, not for misconduct, but for identity. It's not just bad policy, it's dangerous policy, the kind that confuses loyalty to a president with loyalty to the country, and treats the military as a political tool instead of a national institution. And that's why this moment matters. Cisneros isn't just pointing out mismanagement, he's exposing a worldview where competence is optional, expertise is ignored, and the only qualification that really matters is allegiance to the man at the top. A worldview where veterans can be erased, service members can be discarded, and the Pentagon itself can be reshaped around political insecurities rather than strategic needs. This hearing wasn't just a clash, it was a diagnosis, and the conclusion is grim. A defense strategy driven not by national security, but by political vanity, with the people who serve this country paying the price.